Eldoria, a city carved from moonlight and obsidian, where desire is a contract and magic is the ink. Here, 4 women navigate a labyrinth of power and passion, searching for a truth the High Council wants buried. I've spent my life weaving stories of other people's heartbeats, safely hidden behind a desk of ivory and ink. But some stories don't stay on the page. If you've ever felt that love can change your destiny, subscribe because this story is for you. Serena Vayne, an enchantress whose words hold more power than she dares admit, stood in the rain-slicked ruins of the Old Observatory. The air smelled of wet stone and the electric charge of a coming storm. The stranger was pinned against a fallen pillar, his chest heaving, his dark cloak torn to reveal skin marked by glowing amber runes. I should have kept my distance. I should have turned back toward the safety of the city lights. But as I reached out to steady him, his hand clamped around my wrist, his skin burning hot against my winter-chilled flesh. You're the one who wrote the prophecy. You have the scent of old ink and stolen stars. My pulse hammered against his thumb. It was that terrifying magnetic pull, the kind of danger that feels like a homecoming. Mira Doran, the sharpest legal mind in Eldoria, stepped out from the shadows, her silver-tipped staff glowing with a skeptical light. Serena, tell me you're not currently being accosted by a man who looks like he's been banned from every reputable tavern in the kingdom. He's hurt, Mira, and he knew my name before I even spoke. Oh, great. He's either a soulmate or a stalker. In this city, the legal paperwork for both is a nightmare. Kala Ren, the alchemist of desire, drifted closer, her eyes scanning the stranger with the hunger of a scientist, discovering a new element. It's not just a wound, Serena. Look at the way his energy is bleeding into yours. It's a chemical reaction I haven't seen in a century. It's volatile, intoxicating, like a perfume made of secrets and late-night regrets. Biana Storm, the warrior mage, didn't move from the edge of the ruins, her hand resting on the hilt of a blade that crackled with blue stat. The High Council's trackers are already crossing the lower bridge. If we're going to harbor a fugitive, we need to do it with our eyes open. Serena, if you touch those runes again, you might not be able to pull your soul back. I looked down at his hand, still gripping my wrist. I felt a surge of something that wasn't mine, a memory of a burning throne and a woman who looked exactly like me. Don't let go, Serena. If you let go, the ink dries, and we both vanish. Thunder overhead wasn't just weather, it was a warning. The ground trembled as the High Council's trackers crested the hill, their silver lanterns cutting through the mist like the eyes of hungry wolves. I could feel the stranger's heart racing through the palm of my hand. He was a mystery I couldn't solve, yet his skin felt more familiar to me than my own reflection. They aren't here for me anymore, Serena. They saw the resonance. They saw the way the ink in your veins answered my call. He leaned closer, his breath ghosting over her ear, a mix of mountain air and ancient sun-warmed spice. It's that dizzying moment when you realize you've stopped being the narrator of your life and started being the protagonist. And the protagonist is usually the one who gets burned. Mira Doran slammed her staff into the mud, a shimmering violet barrier erupting around the group just as a silver arrow hissed through the air. If we're doing the doomed lovers on the run trope, can we please move it to a location with a wine cellar? My professional reputation is already crying. Stay focused, Mira. Look at the barrier. It's changing color. The stranger's presence is acting as a literal aphrodisiac for the local lie lines. Kala Ren reached out, her fingers hovering near the amber runes on the stranger's shoulder, her eyes wide with a mix of scientific awe and raw desire. It's a primal attraction, Serena. He's not just a man, he's a catalyst. Every second you stand near him, your magic is rewriting itself to fit his. We don't have time for a chemistry lesson. The barrier is cracking. Biana Storm swung her blade, a massive arc of blue lightning tearing through the fog and sending the first wave of trackers sprawling into the brush. "Serena, grab him! We have to go through the sunken gate. It's the only place their silver won't follow." I didn't think. I just reached for him, my fingers interlocking with his. Why is it that the most reckless choices always feel like the most honest ones? My logic was screaming traitor, but my skin was singing finally. They sprinted toward the crumbling archway of the sunken gate, the world dissolving into a blur of gray rain and violet spark. As they crossed the threshold, the air suddenly went still. The sound of the chase vanished, replaced by a haunting, melodic hum. We were in the space between heartbeats. The stranger pulled me against his chest, his arms a heavy, protective cage that I never wanted to leave. I've waited 3 lifetimes for a weaver who wasn't afraid of the dark. Who are you? Really? He tilted her chin up, his eyes searching hers with an intensity that made the very ink on her fingers begin to glow. I am the ending you were always too scared to write. And you are the only one who can make me real. The sunken gate led them into a cathedral of weeping willow trees, their branches draped in glowing moss that pulsed like a slow, rhythmic heart. The scent of damp earth and crushed jasmine was so thick it felt like a caress. I felt his hands slide down to my waist, his touch firm and grounding. The silence here was different. It wasn't empty. It was waiting. Here. The council is blind, but the price of their blindness is that we must face the weight of our own shadows. Why do I feel like I've lived this moment before? Like every romantic tragedy I ever wrote was just a rehearsal for this specific breath. Mira stumbled through the gate behind them, shaking the rain from her silver-lined robes, her sharp eyes immediately landing on the way Serena was leaning into the stranger's heat. Oh, for the love of the great scribe. We are in a literal sanctuary of secrets, and you two are busy testing the structural integrity of a hug. Mira, he saved us back there. He saved us from a problem he brought to our doorstep. That's like a lawyer giving you a discount on a case they caused. It's charming, but highly suspicious. Kalaran knelt by a pool of liquid starlight near the roots of the central willow, her hands moving through the water as if she were braiding silk. Look at the resonance. The water isn't reflecting the sky. It's reflecting their intentions. It's deep, swirling, and dangerously focused. Serena, your magic is leaking. Every time he touches you, you're not just weaving a story. You're bleeding reality into the atmosphere. Biana Storm stood guard at the entrance, her storm blades lowered but still humming with a restless, jagged energy. The trackers will find a way around. They always do. Order hates a vacuum, and right now, we are a very loud hole in their perfect world. Serena, if he asks you to go deeper into the Vault of Whispers, you have to know that there is no legal handbook or warrior's code that can bring you back. I looked at the stranger, at the way the amber runes on his skin seemed to settle and glow with a soft, inviting warmth when he looked at me. It's the classic dilemma. Stay in the light where it's safe but cold, or follow the shadow into a fire that might consume you. He reached out, his thumb grazing the pulse point at the base of her throat, his touch light as a ghost, but burning like a brand. I am not asking you to follow me, Serena. I am asking you to lead us. The pen has always been in your hand. My lungs felt too small for the air. My skin was already leaning into him, choosing the fire before my mind could even form the word. Yes. Zero. The Cathedral of Willows groaned, the branches parting to reveal a spiral staircase made of translucent bone, descending into the very throat of Eldoria. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the damp air. It was that sinking feeling you get when you realize the person you're falling for isn't just a mystery, but a mirror reflecting the parts of yourself you've spent years trying to erase. The Vault of Whispers is at the bottom. It is where every word you ever crossed out in your journals went to die. You talk about my work like it's a living thing. In this city, Serena, a lie told with enough passion becomes a ghost, and a truth told with enough fear becomes a monster. Mira pushed past them, her heels clicking sharply against the bone steps as she adjusted her silver collar with a frustrated huff. Enough with the cryptic foreplay. If I'm going to be an accessory to prose-induced insurrection, I'd like to do it before my hair completely frizzes from the humidity. Serena, honey, look at him. He's the physical embodiment of a bad boy phase that usually ends with a restraining order and a very expensive therapy bill. Kala Ren followed close behind, her fingers tracing the air where the heat of their conversation still lingered, like a trail of incense. You're wrong, Mira. It's not a phase. It's an alignment. Serena has spent her life writing about the storm, and she finally met the lightning. Can't you feel the shift in the pressure? The air is getting sweeter. It's the scent of a choice that can't be unmade. Diana Storm brought up the rear, her eyes scanning the shadows of the staircase, her hand never leaving the hilt of her crackling blade. The sweet smell is a trap, Kala. It's the scent of a hunter who knows how to make the prey want to be caught. Serena, if we reach the bottom and he asks you to sign that ink to his soul, remember that your voice is the only thing the High Council is truly afraid of. Don't give it away for a kiss. I looked at the stranger's back, the broad shoulders, the way he moved with a predatory grace that suggested he was more at home in the dark than any of us. Why is it that logic always speaks in a whisper, while desire screams through a megaphone? I knew Biana was right, and yet I found myself reaching for the hem of his cloak just to stay close. The air suddenly grew heavy, the atmospheric pressure doubling as they reached the final landing. A massive door of obsidian stood before them, engraved with thousands of moving, shifting letters. This is it, the Vault of Whispers. Only the one who wrote the lock can find the key. I stepped forward, my hand trembling as I reached for the stone. The letters began to swarm toward my touch like starving bees. It was a terrifying moment of vulnerability. I realized the key wasn't a magic spell or a silver tool. It was a confession. The obsidian door didn't just feel like stone. It felt like a heartbeat under Serena's palm. The shifting letters beneath her fingers began to glow with a bruised violet light, reflecting the secret fears she had never dared to voice. I realized then that I couldn't lie to a door made of my own suppressed truths. To open it, I had to admit the one thing that terrified me more than the High Council's blades. I am not afraid of him hurting me, I whispered, my voice cracking in the heavy air. I'm afraid that he's the only one who truly sees me. The stranger moved behind her, his chest pressing against her back, his hands covering hers on the cold obsidian. The runes on his skin flared a brilliant, blinding amber. Then stop writing for the world, Serena. Write for the man who was born from your ink. With a low, tectonic groan, the door split down the center, revealing a chamber filled with thousands of glowing glass jars, each vibrating with the sound of a billion hushed conversation. Well, that's a lot of secrets. If I could get just 10% of these into a courtroom, I'd own half the city by Tuesday. But Serena, look at your hands. You're not just opening a door, you're starting a fire. This isn't just a romance anymore. It's a revolution. Kala Ren stepped into the room, her eyes darting from jar to jar, her breath coming in short, shallow gasps of alchemical ecstasy. The chemistry is complete. The mixture has reached its boiling point. Serena, the ink in your veins is finally reaching its source. It's not just desire anymore. It's a fusion. If you touch the central jar, you won't just know his name, you'll know his soul. Biana Storm stood at the threshold, her storm blades roaring to life, a wall of blue fire erupting behind them to seal the entrance against the approaching guards. They're here. Serena, whatever you're going to do it now. I can't hold them back forever. I looked at the stranger, his face a mask of longing and desperation. his form starting to dissolve into drifting starlight as the vault began to reclaim its own. Choose, Serena. Give me a heartbeat, or let the story end here. I grabbed the central jar, the glass burning my skin, and smashed it against the floor. I realized that loving someone means being brave enough to destroy the version of the story where you stay safe. As the liquid light of the broken secret engulfed them, Serena pulled him into a final, bone-crushing embrace, her lips meeting his in a kiss that tasted of salt, ink, and 1,000 unwritten tomorrows. If this story touched something inside you, stay with us, subscribe, and let the next chapter find you.